Hello and welcome back to Ask the Surveyor, the podcast where we dive into all things property with a no-nonsense take on the world of home surveys and everything in between. I'm your host, Lee from Ashton Lee Surveyors, and today I'm joined by the brilliant tradesman whose expertise I regularly rely on when it comes to hidden side of properties, plumbing. Joining me is Giles Long from GL Plumbing, a top-notch plumber with years of experience under his belt, helping homeowners, buyers and landlords avoid watery disasters and costly repairs. Thanks for coming, Giles.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business. Are you local to the South Woodham area?
I am. I've been a local boy. I've been born and bred in South Woodham all my life for 36 years as sin. Obviously, I went to school here, primary school in Woodville, secondary school in William de Ferrers. We all know William de Ferrers. It's the main heart of South Woodham, isn't it? And then I went off and I was a lifeguard, fitness instructor, football coach and a climb wall instructor at the leisure centre. And then, left, spread my wings and then fell into plumbing.
That weren't exciting enough, so you become a plumber. Fixing leaks.
Yeah, that's it.
Where you get all the drama.
That's it,
Flooding homes and...
Yeah, I worked for British Gas for 5 to 6 years, and then I left and decided to do my own thing. And to be honest, I've never looked back since.
How long have you had your business?
My business, I started in 2011. So, okay, 14 years. Yeah.
And you look young. You don't look old enough to have a business 14 years.
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur really from a young age. I used to get a bucket and sponge and go around and knock on my mum and dad's friends' houses and try and wash their cars. So I was always hungry to develop. And
earn a couple of bob.
Yeah, I always wanted nice things. So I was always keen to work and I had a good drive for me from a young age. So... yeah, I've never looked back really.
Right. And how big is it now, your company? You've grown it
so I've just recently, the other week, I bought another van. So I've got 4 transits on the road now and I employ like 9 people altogether, so within my business. So yeah, we've got a secretary. Yeah, that's it. 4 engineers on the tools, including myself and some other. I've got a social media team behind the scenes and stuff like that, which obviously help, which I think is crucial in this day and age with business. So yeah, that's my team really.
And have you got any hobbies out of work?
Yeah, I've got a few hobbies. I like racing cars, motorbikes, and I like going fishing. So yeah.
So you like the thrill of life, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Like. Yeah. Running by the seam of your pants.
So what areas do you cover?
We mainly cover all of Essex. I go out as far as sort of Ipswich. There's quite a few properties that I look after in Ipswich for some landlords, like high multiple occupancy houses. And I mainly cover like from there all the way over to Romford. I try not to go too far into London these days, just for the journey and stuff like that and the traffic.
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. But 9 out of 10 days we're in and around Woodham. Most of our work is, around this area: Bicknaker, Danbury, Chelmsford, Basildon, Wickford, Brentwood, Southminster, Burnham. That's where we are generally on our day-to-day basis.
It definitely improves your quality of life not being stuck on the A13 or 127 or the M25. So keeping it local is great in my eyes. It's really improved my my life anyway. That A13, it's a nightmare. A ship and shovel. I don't think anyone's been in that pub.
No, I've been past it a few times, but I've never been in it.
So, GL Plumbing, heating and gas.
Yeah.
Is it heating and gas?
GL Plumbing and gas engineering.
Okay.
That sounds it's a mouthful.
So, what does GL Plumbing and gas engineering specialise in? What's your main jobs you do?
So the main things what we do, we are a one-stop shop for all your plumbing and heating needs, basically. Like we can arrange from doing bathroom installations, tap changes, toilet fixes, all the way through to your expertise stuff. And that's really what I actually specialise in. So anything from underfloor heating, boiler breakdowns, through to system upgrades. We do literally cover everything. I am LPG qualified. I do oil. I do natural gas. We also do heat pumps. And I'm also manufactured approved for, I think, over 11 different manufacturers. So depending on what product that you need or want, we can give you expertise advice. And also, like we do, what is it? I keep forgetting now. We could do You got me at it now. We can do what is it?
It's
Low
spread
temperature
start.
design courses, and I've been on all courses like that, so I can really make your system as efficient as possible. So
It's interesting you do all boilers because I need mine done, and if you could book me in, please.
of course we can sort that out, no problem.
So with the bathroom fit outs, is that just the plumbing side, or is that the suites and the tiling?
Everything. So
Painting.
yeah, we get involved with
From
most
rip out
things
to
now.
finish, yeah?
Yeah. The only one thing that I struggle with, and being honest, is we're struggling to find a good tiler. If I can find a good tiler, then I'll be on the good crack. But at the moment, we're outsourcing tilers, which is a bit difficult because, as you understand, being in the trade, not everyone can function on your own time. So it's hard to get people in, and that they let you down, and then the buck stops with you, doesn't it? So we try and do everything that we can in house. So then the pressure's all on me, and then if anything goes wrong or needs to be adjusted, I can deal with it straight away, opposed to outsourcing a plasterer or outsourcing an electrician. Unfortunately, when they let you down, it all lands on you. So most of the stuff that we do is all controlled by us as a company, all in-house.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be in construction. I used to do little plans for little jobs, and you plan everything, and then there's a delivery what spoils it,
100%.
or someone is sick,
Yeah.
or so it don't matter how much you plan, there's always someone who mucks it up. So you're looking to take a tiler on full time, are you?
Yeah, well, we're looking like outsourcing, really. Like, it's just we don't really specialise too much in the bathrooms nowadays. It's mainly all to do with your heating stuff. That is what my main fruit of labour is, every day in, day out. Servicing, maintaining boilers, like I say, upgrading heating systems, power flushing, giving system advice. That's really what we do. Our bread and butter is basically servicing and maintaining all kinds of heating systems.
So are you seeing less and less leaking problems in properties?
No, I come across that quite regularly. There was one done that is on my social media. I had a call out. Unfortunately, they had a pipe split in the loft, and it caused over 100 grand's worth of damage. Which the customers of mine, they had to move out. They was in rented accommodation, I think, for 6 months. So we do come across it. We do a lot of thermal imaging surveys for leak detections. I also have an acoustic, it's called a gas sniffer. So if you have a leak in the floor, I can then pump, it's called a hydrogen mix inside the pipework, and they go around with a sniffer, and we'll trace that leak, and then we can fix and repair it. So we, like I say, we are a one-stop shop, but most of the stuff we specialise in is mainly all to do with your heating side, system upgrades and efficiency. Yeah.
So going back to leaks, what would you say the biggest common cause of leaks is?
The biggest common cause of leaks, I'd say, is basically plastic pipework.
Push fit.
Yeah, that is the worst one that I come across day to day out. I don't want to sound horrible, but there's a lot of what I call DIY derricks out there. And, I know everyone's in it to try and save a couple of quid, but when you're forgetting inserts, that's what I come across most of the time, as well as the actual retaining clips that are not fitted. Push fit is what it says on the tin. It pushes in. But if you haven't got the retaining clips, pipes do move under pressure and under tension, and that will pop out. So
thermal movement.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of our call outs are because of poorly fitted plastic pipe.
I called out a plumber once because I poorly fitted a plastic. So if you don't know what you're doing, every bit of plumbing I've installed is leaked. So
Call you leaky Lee.
It is a skill. It is a skill. The way you put on your thread tape and stuff like that. Yeah. So. So it is people forget about the inserts, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Which is they don't sell with the.
That's correct.
You have to buy them separately.
And the circlips as well that actually hold on and retain the back of the fitting to stop any of that movement.
Yeah.
And yet again, they don't sell them with the part. You have to buy that separately. And not a lot of places actually stock it. So you have to be specific when you go in there. I want 15mm retaining clips for John Guest. And if you actually go on the John Guest website and read the terms and conditions, they will not warrant any of the plastic pipework if it's not got a retaining clip on it. And not many people know about that.
There is other manufacturers.
Yeah.
Don't want to sound like the BBC, but Hep2O.
That's correct, Hep2O, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I always used, and it still leaked. Yeah, that I done it and didn't push the pipe in further enough, so it didn't go past the bits inside.
Yeah, the little threshold,
yeah.
And the washers and everything, yeah.
So with older properties, without the plastic, so non-DIY, what is the common problems? We often, well not often, but we do find where they've screeded without putting hessian around the pipes,
That's
and the lime reacts with the solder joints and it blows. Have you come across that?
Basically, the cement, put it in layman's terms, it's porous, so it eats into the copper. So it won't do it straight away, but over the period of 10, 15, sometimes 20 years, that will eat into the copper, which then cause like little pinholes, fractures and stuff like that. We had a call out for one of them in Danbury actually last week that we done a repair on. It looked a little bit like Piccadilly Circus once we broke all the floor out. It was like, wow, we've got to put this right. It was hoping only 2 pipes. I think it was 6.
Blows on the joints, does it?
That's correct, yeah. And actually little pinholes that you can see on the pipe. I had one that I went to. I know this wasn't a water leak, this was a gas leak, and actual fluid from the boiler, semi-acidic, had actually eaten through the copper pipe and left a huge gas leak. And when you could hold the copper pipe up to the light, you could see all the holes through it. So yeah, quite dangerous, and it's quite scary, some of the stuff that we've come across. Yeah,
and screeded floors are commonly in properties from about 1970, I would say.
Yeah, all the way up to, I'd say, nearly the early 2000s.
Yeah, and they're still using screeds, but I think they put the pipes in the insulation now, don't they?
That's correct, yeah. So it's all covered. So depending on how it's done, if you've got your Celotex that goes down, and then obviously your pipework will go on top of that and then screed over the top. But all your pipework has to be sleeved, lagged, all to make protection to stop any of this happening. Yeah.
So this is regulations made on common faults, same as building regulations. They always learn from disasters and stuff like that. What are the most common problems in older properties? Your pre-wars and stuff like that. Do you still come across lead,
asbestos? I mean, that's one of the big things that not too many people are common about, because there's so many different varies of asbestos. So mainly to do with old gas fires, old warm air units. You must remember going into a house before where you've seen all air vents around the property. That's called warm air central heating, another thing that not many people do that we still do. And that most of them have like asbestos liners and stuff like that. So if you are to remove that system to upgrade it, you have to be very careful on what you're doing. You have to get the right channels, right people in to obviously make your area safe for you to work and for the customer to then continue to live in the house.
So commonly materials that you come across got asbestos, insulation, back of doors where the panels are.
That's it, boiler flues, boiler seals, like chimney liners. Yeah, we do come across, and even like floor tiles. You get the old asbestos floor tiles as well.
It's common, 70s properties.
Yeah, when we're having to dig up the floor to rerun pipe work and stuff like that. It's a lot of things that get overlooked, which you have to be surprised about.
Yeah, it's in a lot of products, even the glue in the tiles. Solvent pipes is another one.
That's right, yeah.
Now it's all plastic.
Yes, it is all plastic.
Plastic's not all bad.
No.
Push stuff. Yeah. So push fit is okay if it's done properly.
Waste pipe, as long as it's solvent glued, I think that's fine. But I'm not a fan of push fit pipe. Anyone that knows me and that I've done work for, I will not use plastic unless I absolutely have to. As an example, to get a new water main in. There's no choice. I'm not going to run that in copper. You've got to use plastic with that. And the same as if I'm running a new mains water to a loft space, well, I can't get a 3 metre copper pipe, up through a ceiling, can I? So that'll be the time when I might have to use plastic.
Yeah, so I suppose it's good for bending round and getting into...
Yeah, and what we do is that if I'm to use plastic, I will use minimal fittings. So I'll only have a fitting in point A where I can see, and fitting in point B where we're working. I won't put any fittings under floors or anything like that. I will just do one run of pipe from point A to point B to minimise the amount of fittings that are on that plastic pipe.
Accessible points.
Yes, that's correct.
And not hidden under floors, which we find a lot.
We come across more than you think.
So lead pipes, come across lead still?
Yeah, we do come across a little bit of lead. I mean, most of it has been taken out now. But yeah, there's the odd time that you come across water mains in lead and, you know, some odd fittings. I mean, I actually went to one the other week where it was a copper waste trap. And I haven't seen one of them in a very, very long time. And that was locally, from when I'd done all my, obviously, work experience and everything like that. When I was working in London area, all around Chadwell Heath and Ilford, I come across like copper wastes back then, but not so much now. And this was actually quite recent. I think this was just on the other side of Danbury that we come across an old vanity unit that had an old copper waste into an old steel stack, which is, you know, very unusual to come across these days. But yeah,
so there's all different pipe works. You've got the microbore pipe work, which has now got a bad name.
It's always had a bad name since I've been working.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because it just blocks up, doesn't it?
Unfortunately it does. It's it hides a multitude of sin. I mean, they brought microbore in basically because there was a copper shortage. So they thought that by halving the size of the pipework that they'd be able to continue to build houses and it wouldn't be a problem. But my best analogy that I have with microbore is, you know, radiators rust. Where does that rust go? Falls into the heating system. So it's like trying to blow mud through a straw. Doesn't matter how good your lungs are, you're never going to clear that straw of mud. So that's why the microbore blocks up. So we are doing a lot of building at the moment and ongoing works that we go around people's houses and then we actually rip all the microbore out.
So you can't clean it, flush it?
It's you can flush it, but from my experience, 9 out of 10 you can't flush. There's very minimal in my time that I've been doing this that I've been able to flush microbore. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't maintain it, and because it's been poorly maintained, that's why you got the problems. So yeah, we generally rip a lot of the microbore out and upsize it, and when we do that, we make the system a lot more efficient. You know, I remember one job in particular, we went round there and they had microbore. And all the inside of the windows was all, you know, mildew and all like that because the house wasn't really heating up. It was as cold inside the house as it was outside the house. I remember as soon as we changed it over and we put all proper 22 mil and 15 mil in everywhere. And I remember coming back the following year because we give a free first year boiler service with all our installs. And I remember like no condensation, and the lady was saying to me how much warmer the house felt, and you know, it does make a massive difference. Yeah, it does.
So have you got microbore?
Yeah.
How do you maintain it?
Well, that will be down to having the system regularly drained, having the right amount of chemical in it, inhibitor, and also taking precautions like having a magnafilter on the heating system. So just for the people out there, a magnafilter is a massive magnet that goes on the boiler. It basically pulls all the sludge and corrosion to that magnet. So every time I come round to service your boiler, or one of the boys come round to service your boiler, we drain and clean that magnet. It just helps maintaining the heating system. Obviously, we also do that when we do power flushing. So if I was to come around your house and power flush it, we'd fit that magnafilter there. So once the power flush has been done, any further debris will help keep the boiler as efficient as possible.
And that's scaling as well?
Yeah, that helps with scale, yeah.
So scaling is what you get in the bottom of your kettle?
That's correct. Yeah.
So the same thing happens in pipe work?
Yeah. So you get your water and metal, what happens? It rusts. So where does that rust go? It's because it's heavy, it falls to its lowest point. So that will go, you know, if you look at your boiler pipe work, the drops in the boiler, the drops to the radiators. Generally, if you want for practice for you at home, next time you turn your heating on, put your hands on the radiator. If the radiator is hot at the top and cold at the bottom, then you know that your radiator is full of magnemite, sludge. So, you know, you're only getting 20-30% of heat out of your radiator, and the 60-70% of the radiator is all sludged up. So by having the power flushes done, having the maintenance done, you're saving gas because you're saving money on gas bills. You're making your heating system a lot more efficient, and you're actually getting every pound you're spending out of your gas to actually heat up your home.
So is it rust or scale which is the problem? Or
both. Especially a lot around here is we live in a hard water area, as we all know. Another thing that we do is we fit, pure water filter taps and stuff like that. There's other little ways and means we can help reduce scale in your house, but the actual sludge build up is from the rust inside your radiators. So on heating systems, if you've got what I call your generic heating system. It's basically you got the old boiler and a cylinder with tanks in the loft. Now, your bathing water and your heating water don't mix. So basically, you'll mainly get main from scale from your bathing side, not from your heating side. You get sludge from your heating side due to the corrosion from the breakdown from the metal inside the radiators and your boilers. Yeah,
You've educated me there.
no problem.
So scaling generally in pipe work, cold pipes and stuff like that.
That's correct.
Do you ever see them really scaled up where you've got to change water mains and stuff like that?
Mainly cylinders is what I've seen. So, a lot of people describe about having poor pressure. My hot water's really poor and stuff like that. And the cylinder in the airing cupboard, I remember going to a job and she was complaining that the water wasn't running out of the tap. And I'd done my investigation, checked the loft, make sure that tank was full and running around, checking everything else, making sure no one had accidentally knocked an isolation valve off or anything like that. And I remember turning the tank off and cracking the nut on the top of the cylinder and no water's coming out. I'm like, should be something out here. I ended up taking the pipe off and you could not see down the hole. It was full of scale. So we had to change her tank. And as soon as we changed the tank, she had nice running hot water again.
So that's mainly in the south, is it?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. Have you been on holiday and you've been in a shower, soft water?
I have
and the
indeed.
soap just goes on and on forever.
Wales especially has definitely got nice soft water. Yeah.
Well,
Not that I need it with my haircut, but yeah.
Yeah. So, Giles, what are your favourite jobs? What pleases you most?
What pleases me most? I enjoy the breakdowns. I enjoy problem solving. That's what I actually get a kick out of. I've got one that I'm going on at the moment. They've struggled with the heating system. This is what I call a mixed fuel heating system. So they have a log burner fire and they also have an oil boiler. So it's a split two-way system. And they've got problems with it crashing and banging and everything else. They had another company out, said they promised to get back to them, didn't turn up. Another company went out there, said, don't know what I'm looking at, and left it. And I've gone there and I've problem solved it. I'm actually waiting for a part to be delivered before I can go back and actually rectify the problem, but I have got them heating hot water at this moment in time. Yes, the system's not perfect, but once I've changed over this box, it should all be running and all be sweet sailing, so get back to normal functioning. But yeah, I get a kick out of problem solving stuff that other people can't get over, or systems not put right. I enjoy problem solving with all of that. Yeah, the satisfaction of I fixed that. That's what I get a kick out of. Yeah,
not every plumber's as good as you, Giles, are they?
I'm not going to say too much. My head's not going to swell up too much. But
so we've touched on old properties. What about new properties? What are the common? If I want to go and buy a new property and I want to just throw my eye over the plumbing, what should we be checking? Turning taps on, the basics.
Yeah, the basics. I mean, my honest opinion, if you want me to be honest, don't buy a new build. That is my honest opinion. That is my opinion. But, how poorly I've seen them put up and everything like that. I've got horror stories of ones that I've been to. But, yeah, if you want to go and obviously get an older property that you're looking at, you can do all your different checks depending on what style of system it is. Obviously, one, do your due diligence. Has the boiler been serviced? Have you got the right accreditation for it? Have you got the certificates to prove that it's been maintained to a correct standard? Second of all, get a survey done by the appropriate people to come round. If you're, fairly handy, get up in the loft, have a look at the water tank, take the lid off. What does the bottom of that tank look like? Yeah, again, I've seen rats, mice, pigeon, all sorts in loft tanks and everything. So just be aware of what you're running. Like I say, do your due diligence, get the right surveys done, or call a plumber like myself and we'll happily go around there and look at it for you.
Like Ashton Surveyors who do thorough surveys. Exactly. We will look in tanks. And yes, rats, birds, all sorts of...
That's it. We've seen all sorts in them. Yeah. We had one the other week where someone had put a bit of wood across the top of the tank, with insulation on top, and over time the tank got wet and actually fell in to the tank, and not only did the wood fall in, the insulation fell in as well. So all that fiberglass and everything all gone into the tank. We had to clear all the pipe work out because you have all the gauzes on the shower, so the shower stopped working, so we had to take all the taps off and everything, get a wet vac hoover, clean it all out. So
and for months they was brushing their teeth with it.
They were indeed. So couldn't have been very nice to shower in fiberglass.
No. But might have brought their teeth up a bit white. It's not the recommended method.
No, I wouldn't recommend it.
Cowgate wouldn't recommend that one. So water tanks. I mean, we're going to changing modern systems, going to unvented systems where you've got mains pressure hot water. I've got one. When I moved into my house, I showered and I struggled to get the soap off me. So I invested into an unvented tank, and I have a wonderful shower every morning, and it is lovely. So not all modern techniques are bad, like push fits, but the old pressure system.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Gravity system is...
Gravity system is what you come across in the older style houses. Most people now, when they're upgrading the system, they go to an unvented. The main reason for that is so you can have multiple appliances running at once without the loss of pressure. But yet again, a lot of things that I come across is people aren't upsizing water mains. You have to upsize the water main to get the full benefit from the unvented cylinder. There's so many times I've been round to the property and they're like, I can't have my showers on, and someone flushes the toilet and I get a loss of pressure, and you look into it and it's because they've still run a 15mm water main. It has to be upsized to 22mm to make the most out of having that unvented cylinder.
So when you increase the pressure, do old pipe work the joints
sometimes
leak because they...
Sometimes, so we put that. We'll sometimes come around, depending on the age of the property. We'll do something called a pressure test. So I'll actually, disconnect part of the system, put it on what we call a pump bucket, leave it under pressure for like 25, 40 minutes. Go down the cafe and have a cup of tea or something like that. Come back and then check that pressure. If that pressure is all okay, then I'm fine to go ahead with the installation. If it's not, then obviously we've got to rectify that before we go ahead with it.
Is it a cafe in Woodham?
There's a couple.
We won't name.
Yeah, don't get me in trouble.
Are there telltale signs that a buyer, when they're inspecting a property, thinking of buying it, so viewing the property, shall I say, not inspecting, because they're not surveyors or tradesmen, so when they're viewing a property, what could they be looking for? Older properties mainly.
I'd be looking at pipe work. That's the main thing. Open the airing cupboard if it's got a cylinder. If it's got one of them tank jackets that look like it's just been round with a piece of string, just pull it to the side and inspect it. See if there's any corrosion on the pipe sticking out. If anything's furry, that's generally been weeping over time, so that can be like lime scale. Check to see as well if they've got gate valves or lever valves. The old school gate valve, so it's like that red circle. If they've never been touched, I guarantee you they're seized shut or seized open. Just have a little feel. If it can turn loosely, it's been maintained. If it's really stiff, it's not been touched. So, check radiators. I'm not saying get on your hands and knees, but, feel underneath the rad to see if it's rusting or anything like that. Do the obvious signs, see if the carpet's wet or anything like that around where all the connections and that are.
So what will corrosion look like? What people will look at? Is it green?
Yeah. It's like green, or sometimes you get like this like milky sort of like dust off of it, which is like that's where the lime scale is like breaking through joints and stuff like that. So just be aware of visual signs like that. Also, getting back again, when you're going to look at the property, ask, is the boiler been serviced and maintained properly? That's the biggest thing that we always pressurise on. Has everything been serviced and certificated? It's very important.
So boilers are a big cost. So you've got to replace a boiler. You're looking at over a couple of grand now, is it? 2 to 3, depending on the size of the system. As a plumber, what issues do you get called in after they've had a survey? What are the common issues?
It's mainly to do with boilers. You know, I actually went to one today. They're trying to buy a house, and you know, the boiler record is not up to date. You know, the last time it was serviced was 2021, and you know, going there today, I've looked at the boiler. It's not fit for purpose. You know, I've basically had to shut the boiler down because it's not been maintained properly. So, you know, I can't stress enough when it comes to buying houses to make sure that, you know, you're asking the right questions, getting the right certificates. You know, always I've gone round to properties and it's like, who installed this boiler? Oh, I'm not too sure. Have you got a building regulations compliance, which is, as a gas engineer, once I complete or fit a boiler for you, I have to register it on the Gas Safe website, and we then get a document sent to you saying that it was fitted by someone of a qualification to say that it's safe. There's many a time I've been to a property where I've said, oh, you know, boiler's looking a little bit old. Like, when was the last time? Oh, I don't know. I said, who installed it? And then, oh, I haven't got any record of it. Well, you know, that means any old Joe could have fitted that boiler. There's no proof that an actual gas safe engineer had actually fitted it to the correct standards.
There's many companies, plumbers, heating engineers, shall I say? I know plumbers don't.
We don't like being called plumbers.
It's the paperwork's not there. I do searches. It's either the council don't update their records, but often is that a lot of plumbing companies don't. They may be gas safe registered, but they don't do the paperwork that they should, which you obviously do. Yeah,
I'm pleased to say I've got a very good secretary, Cheryl, that helps me out in the office. She does all my paperwork and admin, and she's our first point of call. So when you speak to us or you call up our number, you'll speak to Cheryl, and then Cheryl will be able to take down your details and schedule in for either site visit or boiler service or whatever we can help you with. So yeah, she's on top of all my paperwork. Yeah,
we all need a good secretary.
We do.
Yeah, we're not all good with paperwork.
No, that's probably my biggest downfall. Paperwork, you know. After doing 14 hours on the tools, you know, trying to get home and trying to get your head down and send quotes and, you know, try and schedule out jobs, it's very difficult. I'm not going to lie, I did struggle with that. I had been doing it for many years, and through COVID, I basically bit the bullet after that, and then that's when I got a secretary, and I've never looked back ever since. And if it's any advice to anyone, certainly putting good processes in, it certainly helps and makes wonders with your business.
Early on in the business.
100%. Like, you always want to think that you can do everything, and I hit a certain roof, shall we say, that I knew that I couldn't do any more than I was doing myself. Then after venturing out, it's sometimes very hard to relinquish that sort of like control, shall we say, but it is paid off dividends in the long run. I'm very proud and happy of my team. You know, I can't do what I'm doing without any of them, so yeah, I'm very proud of them all.
Yeah, that's the only thing, is you don't want the wheels to fall off, so you try not to give employers too much responsibility. But as I've learned through running a business, you've got to let them make mistakes, and that's how they learn.
Yeah, I also find having a lady answer the phones is very helpful, because as a woman, as an example, when you're speaking to a man of a trade, they find it difficult. Oh, well, you know, that what's it thing in the toilet's making all that noise. Like, they don't feel very comfortable saying that to me as a person, but when they're speaking to another lady on the phone, like, they find it very easy to discuss like plumbing problems. They don't feel pressurized or feel a bit silly, you know, trying to describe a fault or something like that. And I think that's, you know, puts the customer at ease before we've even got there, and I think that makes a big difference to the business.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, food for thought.
I won't tell you all my tricks though.
I get what you're saying. Starting a business that you do it, you have to do everything to it grows, and to you're in a position where you can employ a secretary. So it is a tough journey, but it seems like you're there.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing well. As I say to everyone, I try as hard today as I did yesterday, and I'll continue to keep trying, you know, and that's all that matters.
And you're only 25, right?
Yeah, 36. I wish I was 25. I wish I was 25.
Your school friend sitting over there says she says she's 25. So when a person is viewing a property and they see the overflows leaking down the wall. That can mean different things, can't it? But
It can do, yeah.
But most toilet systems are self-overflowing. They flow back into the
That's correct.
toilet
So
pans.
if you've got the white pipe, let's put it in layman terms, the white pipe hanging out of the roof of the house and that's leaking, that could be one or two issues. It's either coming from your flowing expansion tank for your central heating, or it's coming from your cold water storage tank, which supplies your hot water and all your toilets. So it's generally a float valve. So, many common things is that the float valve, like the ball itself, might deteriorate over time and it might fill up with water or something like that, which is then keeping the float open. And it's just basically a warning pipe to tell you that something's going on. Or like what we're seeing with flow and expansion tanks, it could well be that you've got a blockage in the heating system and the term is called pumping over. So then it's filling the expansion tank in the loft and that's why it's running out your outside.
So if the overflow pipes are coming out your fascia, or the roof,
that's
or
correct.
the occasions, it's to do with tanks
in the loft.
mainly.
Yeah.
And if it's through a wall, halfway up the wall,
could be a toilet.
Toilet or bath.
Yeah, it could be a bath. Generally, the bath would be to the bath overflow and run to the actual soil stack. It'd mainly be toilets nowadays that you sometimes, the older toilets.
The older system. The modern system
is all built in.
Back
that's it. Yeah, that's right. So, and sometimes you flush the toilet and you continue to hear water running. That could be where it's not shutting off or wherever the valve has failed, and that's where it's pouring over and then running back into the toilet.
So the old system used to, if the ball valve failed and it was stuck and it was still filling up, that there was a overflow, so it takes the water outside.
That's correct.
And not flood the bathroom, which now it drains back into the
toilet itself. That's correct. Yeah. Which is a little bit silly, but you can see why it works.
What's annoying, I hate this, is when you flush the toilet and the button's on the top. And it gets stuck, and then it just keeps draining, doesn't it? You can hear it coming down the toilet.
Water torture.
Yes, I've done many surveys, and if I'm collecting the keys, and it doesn't go back, and oh no, I can't have that running all night. They're going to come in, the customer or the homeowner.
That's it, yeah.
And sit and blame me.
They've got a water bill now, yeah.
But usually, if you just give it a little wiggle,
give it a little shake or something, or call a good plumber.
I agree. When customers are viewing properties, low pressure is a problem with appliances and stuff. What is a simple test they can do?
A simple test that they can do is generally kitchen sink, and if they've got an outside tap. So, what I'd like them to do is turn the kitchen sink cold on, and then if they've got an outside tap on the outside wall, run that as well. If you notice that the pressure completely drops off, then you've possibly got a problem with your incoming water main.
Oh, right.
Because most of your house is done through, especially the older systems, but we spoke about gravity. Your only real mains pressure that you have, and mains pressure is generally about a bar, 1.2 bar. Sometimes can vary up to 3 bar, just depends where you are. But good mains pressure is about 1 to 1.5 bar. But all your gravity heating system is all done through the tanks. So your kitchen tap is your only main source of mains pressure water. Unless you've got that heating system like we discussed earlier, the unvented, then you've got mains pressure throughout. But, common... If you're unaware of what system you've got, open your cold tap. If that comes through with some fury, then that's mains pressure. Shut that off. If you open the hot and it comes out half, even a third of the pressure, you've got a gravity system. So that's mains pressure cold, just on your downstairs kitchen, and it will be gravity pressure for the rest of the house.
Which gravity systems notoriously give you bad showers.
That's right. That's why you go around many people's houses and they've got multitude of pumps and stuff like that. But as well as I do, pumps are great, but from my experience, that they come with between a 2-year and 5-year warranty. I guarantee if it's 5 years to the day, that pump will break, and then you'll have to be replacing it. And as we know, them pumps aren't cheap. They range from 350 quid all the way up to £1,200. So my advice would be, if you're there for a long time, consider having the system upgraded to an unvented.
I think water pressure is quite important actually. It's just thought of an issue that I dealt with or was involved in, that the pressure was so low they had to have a holding tank.
Yes.
Because the pump, there wasn't enough water feeding the pump, basically.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So a holding tank, which was a really, really expensive thing to do.
They are, yeah.
Because to have a big tank with water, you got to have structurally got
somewhere to put it and everything like that. Yeah, we generally fit some of them on the high multiple occupancy houses that just touch base with you on, because obviously they have a lot of water running through it, so you have to have a separate water tank that is there, so it's got a bulk store to use when that demand is being asked for.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Giles, you clearly know your stuff. You've expressed that today. So, is it true that you've won some awards? You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I have won some awards. I got the Guild of Master Craftsmen, which is basically you can't put yourself forward for it. You actually get invited to actually be a part of this group. So you get noticed on prestige, like how good your quality of work is, how your business is, and everything else. So I've had that now, Guild of Master Craftsmen, for about 11 years. Which is not many people that you will see have it. You know, it's a logo that I got on my vans, and like I say, they were prestiged for that. I've also been in the top rated best free plumbers in Essex for the past 6 years on the trot. Which is fantastic, because Essex has got the biggest postcode in the UK, obviously apart from Wales. But I mean, to be in the top 3 for the past 6 years, that's a massive achievement. Yeah.
So what is involved? What's involved to actually get that award? Do they inspect your work?
Yeah, they come around and inspect your work. You know, you go on the top rated best free, and you can put in all plumbers, and it will actually give you a chart to see, you know, how good are we replying, our job quality, how good our products are, how good we are at our website, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I've been, like I said, been on there now for 6 years. And it also goes in hand with all the qualifications. I've got over 45 qualifications within this industry, and from what I'm aware of, I'm one of the most prestiged engineers in this area, with the amount of what I'm able to do with my skill set. Like, as I said, I'm one-stop shop. I can basically do anything. Yeah.
So quality is clearly your thing, and you're very proud of it.
I am indeed.
Well done, Giles.
Thank you.
What is the worst DIY job you've ever seen?
I've seen a few over the years, shall we say. You know, I'm sure we can all relate to things where saying that hangs on sky hooks, you know, and been fitted with a left-handed hammer. But one in particular that sticks out on me was I went over to do a job. I won't say what area or anything like that. It was within Essex, we'll say. And I went over to do a job, and the neighbour come and knocked on the door of the house that I was working at and asked me to take a look at his toilet. And I remember looking at this toilet, and I was completely and utterly shocked how it was installed. There was no floor in the bathroom. The toilet was the best purpose levitating. So it was on nothing, and as a privacy, he'd managed to mock up a shower curtain round it, and that was your door. And I'll never forget him asking me, it's probably not the worst job, but that job in particular stuck out for me, because I was so caught off at, like, oh, my toilet doesn't flush, and I wasn't expecting to walk into a bathroom with no floor, no walls, and a shower curtain as a bit of privacy. So yeah.
So they started a job and didn't finish it, or
I think he was doing it himself. As I said, the DIY Derek at it again. Keep him going, because it keeps me busy.
I've done up a few houses and stuff, and I used to be on the tools. So I used to be a carpenter, and you think, yeah, you can put your hand to most things, but most of my plumbing jobs have leaked. And the biggest problem with plumbing is that you go to a suppliers, we won't say names, but the knowledge of, you know, what fits what, and the sizes of things, and the imperial to
metric,
it's a nightmare, and you end up going to and forth. Oh, that don't fit, and that back, or you just keep it. And I have got a tub like that full of plumbing stuff because it didn't fit, and the knowledge of that is quite.
Yeah, I always say, like, in my van, it's like Aladdin's cave, because I've always got anything in there that, you know, I've made over the years to get me out of trouble or get over little bumps in the road and stuff like that. You know, I'm pleased to say the same with all the lads that I work with, that we have got sort of like an open mind. You know, it's we don't like, oh, that's a problem. It's like, well, where there's problems, there's solutions. We'll get round it. It will get through it. You know, there's always adapt and overcome. Like, that's something that we do press for hard in our company.
So have you had any unpleasant jobs where you've been unexpectedly squirted on with some nasty stuff?
I've been to a few, unfortunately. A couple of toilets. I won't go into too gruesome details, but yeah, when you go there and she tells you that she hasn't flushed the toilet for 2 days, and you can kind of tell that that's a lie because you've got this thick crust to the rim of the toilet. Yeah, it's not pleasant, but yeah, needless to say, we've fixed it and we've overcome it. So yeah, bit of danger money on top of that.
I'll tell you about my unpleasant squirting story one day in, well, I won't say where it is because it'll give it away. Tell us some drama, tell us some the worst jobs and the flooding and...
Yeah, I mean, like I say, that probably the worst jobs has all got to be toilets related, really. Like, it's never pleasant. I've been to a few places where, you know, you get up in the loft and you're crawling across the loft and, you know, you come across a dead rat, dead mouse, you know, loft tanks as well where rats have fallen in. It's quite unpleasant. Another one that's just come to my mind, I never forget this one. I got called to HMO, high multiple occupancy, because the toilet wouldn't flush, and I remember removing the toilet, and for some estranged reason, I don't really know what come across this person's mind, but they managed to wedge a full banana up the UE of the toilet, so it stopped the toilet flushing. It's like, I've come across some strange things. I went to a job where someone used kebab skewers for some reason, and they were stuck down the soil pipe, so the toilet was backing up. I've pulled bath towels. I'm going to say bath towels, like, you know, the ones the size of you. I've pulled them out of drains and stuff like that. It's like, what are people throwing down toilets? I really don't know.
I think it's a bin.
Yeah. I've seen all sorts. Yeah, literally.
I've done a survey.
Dead fish. Yeah, you name it. I've seen all sorts. Yeah.
I've done a survey and they had 3 toilets, ensuite, bathroom, cloakroom, and none of the toilets flushed, and they had a bucket next to each toilet to fill it up and flush. And I would have thought, okay, yeah, that works, but it doesn't cost a lot of money to fix all valves and stuff like that. And you can. It's a semi-skilled DIY job if you know what bits to buy. That's the half.
If you've got common sense, yeah. But as we know, common sense isn't very common these days. So, yeah.
But the time of every time you have a wee, you got to fill up a bucket. That would have drove me mad. I'm impatient, but just especially if you've got no water pressure as well.
Yeah, you'll be waiting there for a month for some days waiting for it to fill up.
And I'm sure they would leave it, wouldn't they? I would flush it next time. It's just, I don't know. But how people live is... So, Giles, we talked about the bad jobs like the squirty toilets and stuff like that. So, tell us some positive stories.
Positive stories, you know, helping people out. You know, we do a little bit of work for charity and stuff like that. I don't really talk about it too much. But yeah, we've done a lot of, you know, helping kids get to schools. Like, I've invested in, like, buying my son's preschool that he went to. We helped towards funding for helping the kids walk to school. So they got all high vises, new lunchbox, school bags and stuff like that. Also helped out on the school fete. And also, like, we at Christmas time, I donate to the homeless. So yeah, I try and do that every year for the people in and around Chelmsford. So yeah, I always try and give back to the community as and where I can do. So yeah,
kindness is a wonderful thing, Giles.
Yeah,
well
I certainly try and help out where I can. You know, other people, you know, wherever I can. I always stop. Like, we had one the other day. an old lady was struggling to get across the road, and I just stopped the van and just helped across the road. You know, you got to do what you can for people. I don't expect anything in return. You know, I always try and be polite and courteous where I can, and always look upon people and always help
Obviously,
out.
you're a good person, Giles. So, Giles, how can people get in touch? How can they find you?
You can find me on very different ways. Obviously, Facebook, Google, Instagram. You know, you can also contact us on our website. Ring the office. So yeah, we're all out there on all different platforms. You know, now I've got the opportunity. Give us a call on 01245 945 112. That'll go through to Cheryl in my office between Monday to Friday 9 to 5. And if you need us for any emergency work, give the mobile number a call on 079 000 20933, and that'll come through to me in the out of hours. So between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I'm on the phone. And
what's your website address?
Website address is glplumbingandengineering.co.uk.
Email
g.l.gas@live.co.uk.
We can find you everywhere.
You can find me everywhere. And don't forget, you can't miss my bright yellow vans. So yeah.
Oh, they're all yellow?
Yeah, they're all yellow. Yeah.
So that new one you got out there, you're going to be...
That's all being signed written on the 20th of August. So yeah, I've only had that 4 days. So yeah.
Right.
So I've still got some things to do to it, but all the other boys are out in all nice signed written vans. So yeah.
So how did you choose your colours for your company?
I actually chose the colours because of my dad. So my dad used to run a racing team when I was a kid, and all his cars were yellow. And I said when I started my company, I was like, can I have your yellow, Dad? So yeah, that's where I got the yellow from. So
was it Banger Racing or?
No, he raced Porsches. He was the manager. He didn't actually race himself, but he was like the lead man, and he organised it all. And we won the Porsche 924 and 911 championship. I think it was like 9 years on the trot. So yeah, my dad ran a very successful racing team when I was a kid. And hence why I like to race and do all that myself. But my dad always laughs. He goes, "You're not mine, you're the Miltmans," because he was into cars and I'm more racing motorbikes. I go around the Isle of Man and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm a bit more. Yeah, I'm a bit more. This road
sounds like the Isle of Man lately.
Yeah,
and it's always like 5 a.m. when it's a glorious sunny day, and they decide that's going to be my alarm for the morning. A massive thanks for Giles from GL Plumbing and Engineering for all the insight and helpful tips, and I certainly learnt a bit today. So if you're in the Essex area, you need a plumber, Giles is your man. If you enjoyed this episode of Ask the Surveyor podcast, follow, subscribe and share, and see you next time. I'm Lee Robinson from Ashton Lee Surveyors.